WBNS.
Coach, what do you think you've seen change the most in your defense since that game back in October?
Oh, it's been a pretty good season. I mean, that game, we gave up a few plays that we shouldn't have. So, I don't know, I guess I'd just say a renewed intensity to, get lined up faster and, do your job. But I think it's been pretty strong throughout the year. We had a subpar game.
Over to the left, Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
Jim, you mentioned like that one game is really kind of an anomaly, at least statistically, when you look at what your defense has done this year. How much do you look at it as, we didn't do what we needed to do in this game, and how much of it is just Oregon's a really good offense?
Both. They're really good. They challenge you in a lot of ways. And we can be better, and we have to be better. But certainly they're a very good team, very good offense, and they challenge you.
Stefan Kreisnig, Cleveland.com.
You've talked since that game a few times about your confidence in Denzel and the numbers back up the way he's played since that game. Where have you seen him kind of improve the most since then, or is it kind of that same way of that felt like more an anomaly and what we've seen the rest of the way is kind of what you can expect from him?
Yeah, Denzel's he's steady. He's a great player, great person. That job that he does, and he'll be doing it for many years. It's you're on an island, and there are times where you don't make the play. So, but I feel like his resolve has been the same, and our trust in him has always been the same. So, we all learn how to handle ourselves in times of adversity, and he's a guy that's always going to bounce back.
Pat Murphy, 24/7 Sports.
You were talking about Oregon's offense in that game, but as you've watched them since then, do you see differences? Do you see things that maybe you didn't see in that first game that will be maybe more relevant for this one?
Yeah, you're always going to see things. You can see how they attacked us and how they attacked other teams for the remainder of the season. So yeah, you're always going to pick up things. That's the job of a coach. But they've been pretty steady. They've been really good the entire year.
Tony Girdman, Buckeye Huddle.
Jim, is there any downside, or just, you've already played Oregon, and for a defensive coordinator, is there any part of that is a burden in already having played this team and they've seen what you've done, or is it all beneficial to have already played them?
It's all beneficial, and it's all a burden. It's everything. That's just the life we live. Good luck in your chosen profession.
Because you did, you played what, Baylor twice in 2021. What did you learn from that applies to anything here?
Nothing that I recall exactly off the top of my head, but it's a constant learning process. I mean, if you're not learning as a coach or as a player, you're not growing. So it's just experience.
Kellyanne Stitz, WSYX.
Going back to Denzel Burke, you mentioned his ability to bounce back. How have you seen him approach this week, particularly?
Same as always. Professional, resolved, competitive. Denzel's always been the same. He's always competing, and no matter who we're playing, he's trying to get better.
Jeremy Birmingham, the podcast.
Jim, I know the statistical output of that Oregon game in October is an anomaly for sure on the season, but it was sort of an inflection point, it seemed, at least from the outside looking in, on some structural things within the defense. How confident are you that it's fixed, based on the fact that in the last 7 games you really haven't played someone that would be equivalent to what Oregon can do offensively?
Yeah. I'm always confident that it's fixed, you know. And then, of course, you know, you always stay up at night concerned about other things, you know, so it's a process. Obviously, we have to go out there and do it, you know, it's, every game day is a test, you know, it's a test, every game day is a test, so. No matter what is done previously, you know, you don't get any credit for that, you gotta go out there and prove yourself.
Dylan Davis, Delaware Gazette.
Hendrick's a guy obviously who's playing more and more. What did you see from him when he arrived on campus that led you to believe he could play early on at this point? What have you seen from him now compared to where he was when he did get on campus?
Yeah, he's got great, strength and competitiveness. You know, he's one of those guys who comes in early and things don't seem too big for him. You know, a lot of guys need that transition time. He's a guy that, you know, he'll make mistakes, but he'll learn from them, and he really lets it roll off his back, and that's what you need to do. In order to play early at this level, you gotta keep your fire, you gotta keep your intensity, and you gotta know you're gonna make mistakes, you know, and not let them get you down. I think that can hamper a lot of young guys early, cause you're gonna make mistakes, but Edric, is a guy who's got a great personality and great energy, and he just keeps going.
Dom Sperry, WBNS.
Jim, you have said that you have great confidence in your defense. What gives you the confidence? What's the room like? Do you see a edge with your guys?
Yeah, there's an edge, there's, veterans, you know, I think that always gives you confidence when you have veterans. There's no panic, you know, if we give up a play or something negative happens, I mean, there's no panic. Guys know how to fix things, there's a lot of communication back and forth, you know. There's a lot of resolve to do whatever it takes to win the game. You know, no matter what happens during the game, our guys don't flinch.
Do you see that they want this rematch? Obviously, you gotta beat them to win the national title to get to the next level, but is this a game you guys have been pointed to that you want, that you hope?
I mean, you always hope for a second shot when you don't do well. I mean, that's life, you know, a lot of times you don't get them. So we have a chance to do better and be better. But in terms of the week-to-week process, I think, you know, when you have a team that's together with veteran leadership, the week-to-week process stays the same. You know, no matter who we're playing, the point has always been for us to be at our best, to get better from the week before, get better from earlier in the season, and keep improving.
Austin Ward, podcast.
Jim, we've seen, you know, games with JT at his best, wrecking opponents, Jack at the end of last year, but it feels like there haven't been many, if any, games where they were both as productive at the same time as they were last week. Is that a fair assessment? Would you agree with that? Can you think of anything else that was close from those two together?
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, they're both great players and great young men, and you couldn't find better guys, so I probably don't see it kind of the way that you guys do.
Sure.
Cause I'm seeing every play and every block and, you know, run game and everything that goes into it. I know, you know, you guys and fans tend to just see the highlights, you know, but, they've been consistent throughout my tenure here.
Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
The word that was used after the Oregon game was re-engineering for the defense. I'm not expecting you to divulge too many details, although we'd be happy if you did. What really did change, structurally, maybe psychologically, whatever? What was the big difference after that game? And how hard was that for you, being a veteran coach, having to reassess the way you did that?
Yeah, it wasn't hard at all. I think, if you're gonna survive in this profession and grow, not just survive, but grow and get better, you always have to look at yourself, to, you know, see things that happen on the field and go back to how did I coach that? How did I prepare for that? You have to take responsibility. So, probably when I was younger, that was hard, you know, because you take it personally. I think now, my job is to not be emotional about it. My job is to fix it. You know, that's my job. So, you gotta evaluate it. You can't blame the players. I think that's the biggest thing. You know, you have to go back to how you're coaching in your process. So, you know, in terms of the changes, you know, if I could write them all down for you, I would, but I wouldn't anyway. I mean, I wouldn't anyway do that. But I don't think I could. You know, I think it's just a matter of seeing what's wrong, what happened, and fixing it. That's it.
Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
I think the Oregon game is the only game Jermaine didn't play in. I don't know if you remember what went into that decision to just stick with Denzel and Davis and then the growth that you've seen from Jermaine that maybe allows you guys to think that he's maybe more ready to play a game like this.
Yeah, I don't recall what went into that, but I know Jermaine should play and we trust him. So, you know, he's been getting in there more, and you know we consider him a starter. You know, kind of like Cody Simon was for the first 2 years I was here. You know, he's that next guy, but we can put him in the game at any time and we need to. And if anything happens, he can play the whole game.
All right, we're gonna pause the live portion of this press conference and go to the World Wide Web. I think we have a question there from Joey Kaufman from the Columbus Dispatch. Joey?
I don't understand.
Yeah, we're on a Zoom call as well, Coach. My bad.
They'll explain things to you.
Hi Jim, I'm still live.
Where are you?
Burbank, California. Hey, wanted to ask about Dillion Gabriel and his ability to avoid sacks is good, and his ability to kind of avoid pressures turning into sacks. What do you remember about that first match with him? It makes him tough in that area, and just how confident do you feel about your pass rush being able to get home in those situations now versus where it was in October?
He's really good at that, you know, so, whether it was our game or any game, you know, you have to have a plan for that, and, you know, we're gonna have a plan for it, but, you know, I think the fact of the matter is he's gonna get out, you know, he's gonna try to make plays with his feet and then deliver the ball or scramble. So we have to be very aware of it in both the coverage and the rush.
Gonna stick with the Zoom call. We have an Andreas Soto. Andreas, you're up.
How you doing, Coach? I'm Andres Soto from the LA Times. JT has really been one of your anchors defensively along that B line. What does he do that specifically that helps set the tone for you guys up front?
JT does everything. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better player in terms of the combination of skills that he has, you know, both in the run game, the pass game, and in making outstanding plays. So he does it all, and he does it with a very consistent demeanor and leadership skills, and you know, everybody looks up to him, including me. He's just an all-around great player and a great person.
We'll go now to Cameron Teague Robinson from The Athletic. Cameron?
Hey Jim, I know Oregon's offense is a little different than some of the ones that you guys have played this year, but I mean, both Indiana and Tennessee this year have been pretty explosive in the pass game, and you guys were able to slow them down. Haven't given up a lot of explosives since that game. What do you think's changed for you all, or is it just a mix of pressures and everything will kind of work at once?
Yeah, it's all in the mix, you know. You gotta apply the mix, and, we talk about explosive plays all the time, so, I think maybe when you get burned by some, it becomes real, you know, even more real for you, so, you know, there's just been a continued emphasis on it.
Okay, we'll come back to the team meeting room. Spencer Holbrook, Letterman Row.
Yeah, Jim, I think Kenyatta played the most snaps he's ever played against a ranked team, and it probably has to do with some of the second half stuff that he did, but what have you guys seen in him and his growth that made you guys, you know, want to have him on the field in some critical moments there, of that Tennessee team?
He's really talented young man, and, you know, he's moved himself into that position through his, you know, work ethic and things he's shown us in practice and in games. He's moved himself into that area where, you know, he could be a starter, and, you know, he's earned it.
There's no such thing as a good penalty at all, but obviously the one that he had on Saturday, questionable, I guess. What do you appreciate that almost, even though he gets called for it, that he's being aggressive and he makes that kind of mistake rather than being like a timid guy in that kind of atmosphere?
I mean, he didn't do anything wrong. You know, he didn't do anything wrong. So yeah, we highlight his effort. I mean, that's a really tough call, you know, because you're into the quarterback, you know, so it's one of those things. It's like, okay, I'm into the quarterback. If he pulled the ball down and I landed on him, that wouldn't be a penalty, would it? You know what I mean? So if I'm here, okay, well, pull it down, sack. They're not gonna call it, that's not a penalty. But release the ball and then it's a penalty, you know? So it wasn't late, it wasn't dirty, it was clean in my eyes. And so we highlight it for sure.
Got time for a couple more. Tim May, Letterman Row.
Yeah, by the way, I think it's ACC officials again. That's what Spence told me anyway. I call them free safeties. Jordan Hancock, our count that group. You know, talked about this a little bit before, but going into this game compared to that sixth game, how much more do you feel free to do things with those guys? You understand what I'm saying? I mean, those three guys, Caleb and Latham especially. And I guess what was the lesson learned in safety use in that first game?
I can't give away all of
Yeah,
that. But you're right. We've grown Jordan a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So we're able to do more things. So I think you're right. We're able to do more things.
And who of those guys has really come on in the last 6 games, from your opinion, Jim? Were they all three playing at a great level? I mean,
Yeah, they've been solid. They've really been solid. I can't, you know, I think they've all been great.
And final question, Bill Landis, Kings of the North.
Jim, to the point of developing Jordan to do more things, it does seem like you're able to do a little more kind of free high structures where Caleb is in the middle, and sometimes it looks like he's playing middle linebacker. What is it about Caleb's skill set, I guess, that allows you to perhaps unlock some more with your safeties?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know you guys really watch the film and analyze it, so yeah. Yeah, and when you have a guy like Caleb Downs, you know, a lot of times you don't want to get him removed from a position to make plays, right? Because Caleb is a guy who can track the run and play the pass. So in that kind of setup, you kind of keep him closer to the action. You know, and he's a guy that we need to make plays, and he can in the run and the pass game.
I guess what got you to the point where you sort of involved in doing more of that this year? I don't know if we saw a whole lot of the first half of the season.
Yeah. You know, again, looking at how we can do things better. You know, I've done it in the past, you know, so just wanting to get him involved more too. You know, he's a guy, like I said, who can make a lot of plays and make a lot of things right. He can make a lot of people right. So you think about how to get him involved more, and that's one of the ways to do it.
Coach, thank you very much.